And here's the most important question ever. Which end of the bread is the top to you? God, I feel old.
We opened this week with Rin being evaluated by her supervisor. She had taken note that the flame of passion had kind of burnt out in her designs, leading to them lacking some punch. She even suggested that Rin just transfer to the sales department, but of course she wanted to keep designing stuff. Obviously, we check back in on this later, but first, since this was an Isao Murayama script, we also had to establish the world building ASAP. Granted, it was perfectly within character for Rin to worry about her waifu, especially after hearing about her encounter with the big bad of the show. And because of her, they had been relying on the time flowers to transform, but as has been established, they were potentially evil flowers, so it might have been wise to put a cap on them.
大丈夫だよ。プリキュアになってもなんともないし。ね。
Nozomi, you know you're starting to sound like an athlete on juice, right? Is that right, Neotone?
I mean, I get that you would want to use all the resources they can to help people, but at the same time, this does feel like an overly convenient excuse to just brush aside the issue until likely the endgame of the show. I don't know, it just feels irresponsible on Nozomi's part, which might be part of the bigger message of the show, that you can't hold on to your childhood forever and all that. But yeah, it does bother me that at least Coco and Nuts don't really push the issue any more than this. Anyway, they decide to start calling it a night, with Rin and Kain being the first to leave. As a result, the former was able to vent her struggles with the latter, and I guess even provide some practical advice. I mean, I've never used aromatherapy, so I don't know if it's worth stinking up your apartment with it.
Then again, I have been hearing that Mogoro is selling some good candles.
Later, after turning down a soccer game invite, Rin decides to talk to her mom.
Hi, flower shop Natsuki です。
Can I borrow some money? Hello? Nah, of course, she just wanted to get some words of encouragement from her mom, but kind of got the opposite when she told her that her siblings were job hunting, having been inspired by their very passionate and hard-working older sister.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Honestly, this was the kind of adult drama that I was expecting out of the show and do really like seeing now. And it even got a little more dramatic when Rin ended up oversleeping and needed to call in a taxi to get her to work. Good stuff, and oh yeah, this was supposed to be a superhero show too, right?
Oh great, now we've entered into the Alien 3 phase of this franchise.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I actually thought that Belle was starting to use dogs as her catalyst to explain why she was suddenly making Houndooms. I mean, I could certainly believe it, considering how dogs can be total jerks to their environments, but nope, just still regular humans. Okay. Anyway, Rin was too distracted by her own issues to focus on the whole superheroine thing. This did lead to some nice drama when she tried to present her new ring design that was supposed to bring everyone together through fair trade by not turning a blind eye to their fellow man.
Oh, the irony! It's too much!
I like this, as it not only highlighted Rin's wavering feelings of becoming a Precure again, but also maybe some concern about getting her best friend more involved in this stuff after hearing about the possible negative effects of the time flowers from Coco and Nuts. Speaking of whom, all of the hidden furries of the show discussed their next course of action to deal with the shadows. Or at least Coco and Nuts were, as Kurumi was more concerned about Nozomi after the last episode and figured her king could help her out. Now, on the one hand, it is nice to see Kurumi's development after being overly jealous of Nozomi back in the original series, but on the other, we're probably going to get more of this melodrama that I'm a little less excited about.
教師の道を邁進する望みと
So, you decide to pull a witch of procrastination and ghost the hell out of her.
Like, again, I can understand y'all having busy jobs and actually liking that aspect of your relationship, but also, couldn't you have used syrup to send a letter that y'all might need to take a break from each other for a while? Again, I was never really a fan of this ship, but I really hope that at this point they at least resolve it by the end of the show. Anyway, time for the best part of the show at this point.
何が気になるの、ライト。
Is it possible to preemptively give creators their button? I mean, let's face it, they're a lot better than any of the e-girls on this site.
But yeah, as if she wasn't feeling guilty enough, the Dark Knight Lights also hinted at the appearance of the Hounds in the area. They also talked about a certain bakery that they frequented. This got Rin and Kind to check in on Saki and the possibility that two of their regulars might have been the Yukuri knockoffs. However, Saki said that their customers were mostly just locals, and I'm sure she doesn't know anyone who remotely looks like these two in any way. But yeah, Kind and Rin decided to at least scope out the area. Along the way, they came upon a certain Tree of the Skies, and no, we've done enough Zelda jokes. This did lead to a nice conversation, with Rin admitting to her guilt over not doing anything about the evil hellhounds in the area. It really highlighted how much she was struggling between her job, soccer, and re-enlisting into superhero service, and how her independent attitude was becoming hard to maintain in their later years. Good stuff, though of course the solution was to just trust in her Nakama and all that, and geez, was Karn always this much taller? Well, anyway, Monster of the Week fight, and yeah, I think we can call Belle a member of Just Stop Oil, as she targeted some people who were just doing their jobs. I mean, yeah, they were planning to tear down the Sky Tree, which would be bad, but they weren't being callous about it, and were even going to try to work things out with the locals before proceeding. Also, yes, Mai and Saki weren't going to play a role in this part of the episode.
I mean, I've already said that I appreciate that they didn't become Precure again, but at the same time, you could have had at least Saki campaign against this project. Just saying, bit of a wasted opportunity.
Anyway, while these new Shao types were random, it did lead to a pretty awesome and well-animated fight with Kind going in first and being jobbed out. Yeah, as a friend of mine pointed out, it is kind of disappointing that one of the most badass members of this team is being jobbed out just to set up the drag arrival of another heroine. On that note though, it almost looked like Rin was going to transform as an adult, but...
Fool you!
Yeah, I guess they just got tired of the full age regression sequences, so they just mixed it in with the stock animations. But again, much better animation this week, with even the latter half after Rin joined in, I think having some Yu Yoshiyama frames. Also, anyone else notice how she loves to exaggerate Belle's movements? With that, the episode unfortunately ended with a bit of a whimper, as not only were the Splash Stars sidelined in a conflict involving the Sky Tree, but Rin's workplace issues weren't really resolved, and instead we just got more of Coco and Nuts only worrying about the sinister flowers continuing to bloom, and a hope for the next episode.
Still, I would say that this was the most fine episode of this series so far.
Yeah, this might be more of a personal thing, but I just don't find Rin and her issues as interesting as her teammates. That and them playing coy with a lot of the overarching plot points is a little frustrating.
It is held up by some good character interactions and great animation, so it's just bordering on truly great for me at least.
I think one issue with a show like this was that there was always likely going to be some overlap with character arcs involving their occupations. In this case, both Rin and Komachi have jobs involving creativity, and yeah, this is a bit of a bias, but I am more interested in Komachi's inevitable episode involving writing. Not to say Rin struggles with coming up with a new design and presenting it effectively couldn't be relatable, but it just feels kind of incomplete here. Maybe they'll revisit this later. I think it'd actually be interesting if she ended up changing departments when she realized that she might need to take some time away from designs, but for now, it's just kind of an okay plot point. Fortunately, her discussions with Kind were good, as I was like the good old with great power comes great responsibility talk on whether or not there was more Rin could and should do about the shadows and their sudden evolutions into dogs. Yeah, surprisingly for a Murayama script, they didn't really bother to explain why they were suddenly on all fours, nor did they really dive into the possible negative effects of the time flowers. Now obviously for the latter, they're just gonna hold off on those developments until likely near the end, which does make the characters feel kind of careless, especially just to end the episode with another one of them joining them. I won't say this is a full-on bad point, just kind of awkward, which overall describes this episode best. It is the awkward halfway point, where they're just waiting until the whole team reunites with their childhoods. Great animation and interactions does raise this one up to near greatness, so hopefully the follow-up will be able to maintain that and not waver near the finale.
As always, thank you for watching, and oh, what is this doing here?
Look forward to a Max Heart review, which definitely has a lot more issues than this little show, and more to come.
And until next time, though, for now, my friends, and okay, who forgot to take the dog out for a walk?